Hi, I'm Rob. It's garage time. Hey everybody, welcome to the garage. It's your old pal Rob. Hey Rob, what are we doing today? Today in the Jag Special Runner Prep, we are working on the cooling system. You saw me make spark come out of the distributor. You saw me make spark come out of all 6 spark plugs. And now we're moving on to another system which is necessary to get this thing running. I know that there are plenty of people on YouTube, on various mechanicking and automotive channels who, in the excitement of getting an engine running, will fire the thing up without coolant. I'm not one of those people. I'm just not like that. I want this thing to have all its various liquid systems operational and in good functioning order. So today what we are going to do is start figuring out the cooling system for real. Right here, I have an aftermarket Series 1 Jaguar XKE radiator for the Series 1 with the 4.2 liter XK engine. The Series 1 XKE uses a separate top tank for the radiator. So here we have this top tank, which as you can see, I have not figured out any mounting for just yet. I do have a hose kit for this, so I will in fact add the hoses in here so you can see what's going on. So you can see how this fits. Okay, so what I have done here is attached the Series 1 XKE top tank to the Series 1 XKE radiator using a kind of a mishmash of Series 1 XKE hoses and Series 3 XJ6 hoses. And I've trimmed and cut them to make them fit in this configuration. And as you can see, those 3 hoses hold the top tank in place pretty well. Obviously, I'm not going to just let the hoses hold it in place. There would be some kind of support coming from these 2 frame tubes up to the attachment points on the bottom of the top tank. And so now I got to make some brackets. And so I don't know if you can see these Sharpie marks here. And so there are going to be some flat plates with bolt holes welded in to the middle of this tube. And then I'll just make some little straps that'll go to the bolt holes right here. So let's break out some steel and cut some stuff. There we go. Look at that, will you? Nice. Cool. Not easy. Let's take these, we got 2 of them. Let's take these over to the bench grinder and the belt sander and shape them a bit. Okay, I think you can see right there I've got 1 top tank mounting bracket done, but the radiator inlet is higher than the top tank. I'm going to make this bracket 5/8 inch taller, raise the hole up 5/8, and then that'll move this up so that it's mostly level with this one, because that's a bit too far down. And so here we have it, the new and improved 5/8 inch higher #1 top tank bracket. The top tank is leveled out. There it is, right at 0. So it's level, just like the chassis is level. I know it's wiggling around, but yeah, the chassis is level. Trust me, I'm an expert. It's got plenty of space for a radiator cap. And I don't need to put this hose on. And it is just about perfectly level with this. That's it for now. Cool. Next. I have, in fact, come up with an alternative and simpler methodology for making these brackets. And originally I was going to make them out of 1-inch steel, 1-inch by 1/8 inch steel. Here's the one that was holding the top tank in there a little while ago. Bracket number 1. But then, because I didn't have enough steel, I went over to the metals shelf, and what I found was some 1-inch by 1/8 inch aluminum. And so what I'm going to do is make the brackets out of that. So it is a sports car, so it needs to be light. This was the wire template that I made for bracket number 2. In order for me to bend it effectively in the press brake, I have to add some length for these little brackets. So I will line it up and then mark where I see the center of the bend right there. Good. Okay, good. All right, then square it off. Boom. I'm going to put that bend mark on the bend line and then mark the center as best we can of the second bend line right there. Yeah, that looks good. And we will square that off. And then 1 1/16. 1 1/16. That's that. And that will be the finish cut line. And then 1/2 inch to give me some extra length so that it easily reaches both edges of the bend anvil in the press brake. Okay, so then we take it and we mark 67 degrees and 23 degrees. There. So we know how far we've got to bend things. We will need this. And the first thing we'll do is set it to 67. My Uncle Carl's old variable protractor. The tiny lines are hard for my cataract eyes to see. Stuff gets rusty out here. Not to mention the fact that this thing is probably 90 years old. Probably. Okay, let's go bend this thing up. So here is the semi-finished product. Whoops. Some massaging did go on with hammers, and I had to trim the ends a bit more than I thought I would have to make it fit on the bottom and the top so that it cleared everything. But as you can see, it is a pretty solid right angle. Actually, you could take another bop. Look out. Let's make sure that you are in there. Give you another little bop. There. Notice how judicious that was. Oh, that's good. Good. Let's take it over to the belt sander and make it look pretty. and then we'll drill some holes. There's the finished product. 67 degrees on the bottom, 23 degrees on the top. It's generally in pretty great shape. So I'm going to move on to the other side and construct those about the same way I did this. And then I will show you the finished product for that as well. Check it out. The top tank is solidly mounted to the chassis. Brackets 1, 2. We walk around here. And there's brackets 3 and 4. And this thing is mounted solidly. It's time to attach some hoses. Get this thing hooked up to the radiator properly. And then, I don't know if I'm going to fill it with coolant yet. I still have, because it will all pour out. There's some holes and some hose connections that need to be blocked off. So yeah, but the top tank is in. The top tank is in there. Oh yeah. This pipe right here, this is the outflow to the heater core. Comes off the back of the water pump with this hose right here, follows the length of the cylinder head, attaching to intake manifold bolts, and then goes over here and curves around the cylinder head. And then this hose would go into the heater core and then come out of the heater core and go into this fitting right here. This is the hose that I actually used to bypass that when the last couple times I ran the XJ6, because the heater core had failed and it was misting vaporized coolant all over the interior. So this is how it's going to be when I finally run this thing for the first time. You will see right here, this piece of the intake manifold broke off. There was a hose fitting right here, which has aluminum threads embedded in it. And that is because this is a steel fitting. Let's grab a magnet. Steel. And this is an aluminum manifold. And thanks to good old galvanic corrosion, this hose fitting had bonded itself molecularly to the aluminum. I tried to work it gently. I squirted a whole bunch of penetrating oil in there. I thought I was doing well, but unbeknownst to me, it was tearing the threads off inside the hole. And then I gave it another turn and I heard a snap. So damn. Right here, this is a port that went into the Series 3 fuel injection intake manifold water rail. This is the thermostat housing from the Series 3 intake manifold. This is a Series 2 intake manifold. All I'm going to do for this is thread it and put a bolt in. Ta-da! What I've got here is a piece of 0.034 wall brass tubing. Put it in the vise. Let's measure off a random length. Cut this one at 5 inches. Yeah, there we go. There we go, there's one. Okay, so you can see my calliope. Doot, 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 doot. I've got the shortest inlet hose on the water pump with a clamp. So what I figure it will work is if I take this and use this as the elbow, like so. And it looks like it'll fit pretty well. So what I'm going to do is put the 4 1/4 in here, as deep as I can go. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, there we go. All the way in. Let's try the 5 first. 5. And what do we find? Oh, the 5 is too short. We do not like that. So 7 it is. There you go. I've got my lower hose done. All I got to do is put some beads on these 2 tubes so that they have a better sealing surface. Because I want to mark it so I know where. There we go. So I know where the bead has to go. So that's all set. Now, let's do another thing. Because I like doing things. Okay, so next on the hose parade, see what I did there? Is this thing. This is the heater inlet pipe. I want to attach this, and so what I did was I took the ratty old hose that was on the end of this, and I went over to my various hose kits and found the replacement, and so now let's jam it on there and hook it into place. Yeah. I should probably... Man, that thing's rusty, isn't it? Here's what we'll do. It's way easier to get this thing into the hose than it is to get the hose onto the water pump. There we go. There. Right, now you go in here like so. There's that. Then you go, whoops, let's twist you around. I'm not putting any hose clamps on this at this point. And then you come back this way. There. I suppose you could go that way too, couldn't you? There. Yep, there we go. Yeah. There we go. That was easy. This is my XJ6 Series 2 intake manifold, the carburetor manifold. This thing had some screw-in fittings. Back here was a hose fitting for the return line from the heater core. And there was one here, as you can see that this is broken. I happen to know that that's a 5/8 fine thread. So what we'll do right now, ream it out with a 5/8 reamer, and then press in a piece of 5/8 60/61 rod and have it welded. Let's see what we can do here. Oh, look at that. Is it working? I think so. I think so. Well, let's do this. This is always a good time. Fire up the Dremel! Yay! How's that? Looks good. Oh, look at that. Look at you. Okay, we did it. All right, so now, yeah, marker. That's where it's got to be, and we're going to cut it off right there. Yeah. Yes, I am. Okay. That. There. That is now effectively fixtured into place. I'm going to have to take it out and then sand all this again because I've been touching it with my dirty fingers, and aluminum needs to be pristine for it to weld correctly. We're getting very close. Oh, the next thing I got to do is actually mount the alternator, because if I mount the alternator, that way I can drive the water pump. Everybody's on. Okay, so I now have to make beads on all my bits of tubing that I cut and fit to get the lower radiator hose / piping done and in place. I was initially going to create beads the way that you saw me create the latch ring on the copper nickel fuel lines that I put into my old HHR, by wrapping a piece of brass wire around the tube, soldering it in place, and then filing it to shape. I don't want to do that on tubing this big. So what I did was I got this. This is a tubing bead roller. And I've already done one test roll, one test bead. You can see right here. Looks pretty mint. It fits perfectly. It's going to work perfectly. I am so psyched. So now, let's roll 4 beads. I think one more will do. Even though I smoothed off the ends of the tubing, I would prefer not to slice my hand open as I do the rolling. One more. One down, 3 to go. There. There we go. Ta-da! Let's go put things together, shall we? I did have the presence of mind to mark the depth of the tube. Go. Very good. Nice. What I want to do is What I'm gonna do here is tighten that one. All right, so the intake manifold. There was a hose fitting here which got mangled because of galvanic corrosion. I made that little aluminum plug and I fixtured it in using this bolt. And then I took it to this shop in Worcester, not too far from me. It's J&F O'Malley & Sons. I really liked it. It was cool. It was a classical welding shop. Their work is great. That's mint. And I predict that I'm going to have those guys do a bunch more aluminum welding for me because I can't do it. Okay, let's go put you over here. That thing is ready to get mounted. There's a corner of this Series 3 thermostat housing sticking out from the Series 2 intake manifold that I have to plug. And I'm pretty sure that all I'll have to do is run a 5/8 24 tap down into that thing and be able to stick a bolt in there with a seal washer on the inside and some PFT tape on it, and that will seal up real nice. Let's look up the tap size for a fine thread 5/16 and then see if this hole is already the right size, because it sure does feel like it is. All right, we have in fact got all the hoses sorted out between the XKE Series 1 radiator and top tank and the 1985 Jaguar XJ6 Series 3 4.26 banger. The outlet from the intake manifold, the outlet from the top tank into the radiator, the main outlet, the secondary outlet that I believe goes back from the radiator into the top tank. We've got a hose here on this, what I believe to be the original XKE water pump bypass that we're just going to plug. Here's the bypass, the water pump bypass hose from the Series 3 XJ6 into the Series 2 carburetor intake manifold. Here we have the water pump outlet to the heater transfer hose. Or I should say, yeah, this is the outlet to the heater core. And then I've just got a piece of hose, the giant lower intake hose, multiple pieces, multiple connector pipes. So that's all the hoses. And I'm pretty pleased with how they worked out. Now there's more to do on the cooling system, but each of those is going to take its own episode. The first thing I got to do is mount the alternator, and while that may not seem like it's related to the cooling system, it is, because that's the thing that tensions the fan belt that will drive the water pump so that we can actually pump coolant around the engine and through this whole system so that the engine doesn't overheat when I run it. So, at any rate, as I am so very fond of saying, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you around the channel. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, my daddy, he raised stock cars a long, long time ago at New England's fastest quarter mile, good old Westboro. He and Mom would rally around in their MGTD, but they bought a Porsche 356 to hear my mom and me. I was raised by gearheads, this apple fell not
village messing around with cars.
Time for donuts. Okay, here we go.
No fucking weird counts.
Right.
Yeah.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4.